What's up, guys? Before we get all the hate, yes, I'm probably going to pre-order the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Wasn't planning on it, but looking at the past year, things I've done with the iPhone Pro 13, yeah, I've had a lot of different photos. Actually, some photos I've been pretty impressed with. I like it. Very active, keeps my mind active in photography, because if you're doing wildlife photography, let's say you have a $7,000 or $10,000 rig and you're only using it maybe once or twice a month, it's kind of, your mind's maybe getting a little bit stale on the composition aspect, and it's a great training tool. If not, it is a great photography tool, because just looking back at some of the photos that I've taken, just to add ad hoc things, and it's one of those situations where if you do have a cell phone, and I know some people hate Apple, some people hate the cell phone industry because it's disrupting the traditional camera companies, but there's a reason, because it's very convenient. They're kind of listening to what people want, and with the computational photography, with all these advancements, they're able to really do some super cool stuff. You guys have seen my light painting videos. That's actually going to be on another channel. It's confusing YouTube. I might put out another video on that, but just know that, yeah, looking back at the last year, I've done a lot of photos. My wife's kind of griped at me, saying, "You got a lot of photos in here. Do you need them all?" And just looking at it, you kind of fall into the trap a lot of times when you have your traditional gear, that you see a great photo, you're out walking around, and you're like, "I wish I had a camera." And a lot of times I'll catch myself. I do. And so this photo was one that was coming out of a doctor's appointment, and just happened to see it, and I walk up, and I knew my dog was going to change positions as soon as he started really seeing me walk up. But I was like, "Oh, I don't have a camera." And then I'm like, wait a minute, yeah, I do. And that's just it. You always have this available. These iPhones, I've had this go through kind of hell. I've dropped it multiple times. I've dropped it in a creek, survived in water. I actually had it on the back of my car, ride for about 10 miles, and fell off into a park, a wilderness area that I had to re-find it with Find My Phone app. So I tracked it down that way. Any other camera system would have been lost or broken. As many times as I dropped this, beat this around, this thing just kind of keeps working, and the quality is pretty good. Now, it's not, A7R4 quality, Sony quality, but I actually did do a video comparing astrophotography, and was really surprised at how well the iPhone held up to the Sony A7R4 with that, because that was like a $3,500, $4,000 rig, and this is a cell phone, and that. So I think a lot of the photos that you can get with these cell phones can kind of trick people into thinking you might have used some better gear than what's apparent. And yeah, and if you look at the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it's 48 megapixels versus 12. You can shoot RAW 48 megapixels. It also does like twice the amount of light gathering or less noise. They're able to like pixel bin from 48 megapixels down to 12 megapixels to lessen that noise and remove that in video and in photo mode. It's pretty awesome. They've done 4K cinematic modes. 4K cinematic mode is pretty awesome. It's being able to selective focus later. So you kind of map out the room and say, you want this to be focused, now you want this to be focused, and you can do your focus polling in video. And the iPhone 13 is no slouch. You can do 1080p cinematic mode, but just some of the video in itself, you can do raw video, which is a definite enhancement over the traditional video in this camera. And I've shot some on my Prairie Chicken video, where I'll shoot some B-roll and just kind of sneak it into some of the videos. Always kind of looking at like, how close will this fit? Is it really sticking out as being noticeably bad? And with the iPhone 13, it's definitely, the gap's gotten much smaller. It's not quite as noticeable. But yeah, that's the thing. Looking back at my photos, light painting, I've created a lot of photos I'm very happy with. I think that's going to improve. Probably going to push the iPhone 14 if I get it. If I get a pre-order, probably do some more comparison against some other gear, and I'll probably start really pushing the envelope for waterfall photos and landscape photos and that, because some of the previews of the 48 megapixel images were really, really good. They had some portraits that looked exceptional. Very good. I'm sure they've got a high-end photographer and they've touched it up, but yeah, it's pretty hard to tell the difference between a high-end camera and some of the photos that they were putting out. And for people that think that the lenses aren't that great, you can't print very well, I can tell you this: back with the iPhone 8, I had a professional printer. I'm a friend with this individual that's printed huge prints for some photographers well known around the world. And a person comes in with like some Grand Canyon shots of iPhone 8 megapixels or something like that, and the person wants to print 55 and 60 inches. And this individual is a little bit worried because it's probably $250 to $500 per print, and it's her job to make this stuff look good. And she was indicating, I was really, really worried that it was going to look like garbage. But after they printed out 55, 60-inch prints, they did numerous ones for this individual. She indicated it looked like a piece of art. Like you step back, regular, and you look at it, and she was just in awe. Like it looked amazing. So you can do it. You can do it. When you pixel peep against the R4s and the R5s and all that, it's not going to quite stand up. But on its own, if you create a compelling image, iPhone 13, I'm sure the iPhone 14, a lot of Samsungs and a lot of Androids will hold its own. It's one of those things that it allows you, such a small camera, allows you to get better. If you're seeing shades and angles, you see something unique, your mind's always constantly interacting versus kind of just sitting in a bag that you use once a month. And that pays dividends. You're constantly evolving, shooting, seeing things differently, your composition improves, and initially I wasn't going to try to do a pre-order for the iPhone 14. I was just like, But then I kind of started reflecting how much I'm using, and I'm like, why not? Like, I'm using this just as much, if not more, than a lot of my other gear. And I've got a lot of photos that I've been publishing out there, experimenting a lot, screwing around, and that. So I am curious, guys, if any of you guys are iPhone photographers, cell phone photographers, and what's your thoughts on the iPhone 14? I imagine the comments section is going to get brutal because these cameras don't take well to a lot of the groups that I speak with. They just have a tendency to maybe get a little angry at them, a little abuse, like they ruined the market. But anyway, I am curious, and hopefully see you in the next day or so.